The red dust of Phobos swirled against the observation port as Captain Elena Vega gazed out at the vast expanse of space. The Martian moon had been humanity's forward science outpost for nearly a decade now, a symbol of Earth's determination to stretch beyond its cradle and explore the greater galaxy. Vega ran her hand over the worn command console, feeling the slight vibration of the life support systems beneath her fingertips. After 3 years commanding this remote station, she knew every hum and whir of its machinery. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Central," announced Lieutenant Raj Patel, his voice tight with the strain they'd all been feeling these past weeks. "It's Admiral Lawson." Vega straightened her uniform jacket and nodded. "Put it through to my quarters, Lieutenant, and assemble the senior staff for briefing in 30 minutes. "Yes, Captain." As Vega made her way through the curved corridors of Phobos Station, she acknowledged the crew members she passed with a confident nod. They needed to see strength in their commander, especially now, with the fragile interspecies peace threatening to unravel. The first human-alien treaties had been signed just 18 months ago, a momentous achievement for humanity. But the ink had barely dried before political tensions began to rise. In her quarters, the stern face of Admiral Lawson appeared on the screen. His expression confirmed what Vega had been dreading. "Captain Vega, I'll be brief. The Xylarian delegation has withdrawn from the Centauri Accords. Their ambassador left Earth orbit 6 hours ago without formal notice." Vega absorbed the news with a grim expression. "Any indication of hostile intent, Admiral?" "Nothing concrete, but our deep space arrays have detected unusual movement patterns within the Xylarian fleet. Your station is our closest outpost to their territory. Consider yourselves on high alert." "Understood, sir. We've been running additional defense drills. The crew is prepared." Lawson's expression softened slightly. "Elena, Phobos Station is primarily scientific. If there's any sign of military escalation, your priority is evacuation. We can rebuild an outpost. We can't replace your people." "With respect, Admiral, this station represents nearly a decade of human advancement. The research here is valuable, yes, but not at the cost of lives. That's an order, Captain."
"Yes, sir."
After the transmission ended, Vega sat motionless, weighing the implications. Phobos Station housed 32 of Earth's brightest scientists and engineers, plus a small security detail. Their defensive capabilities were limited, designed to deter pirates and handle minor threats, not withstand a military assault. When she entered the briefing room, 6 anxious faces turned toward her. Her senior staff, Lieutenant Patel at Communications, Security Chief Williams, Dr. Sienna Corsack, who headed their medical team, Engineer Takeda, Science Officer Singh, and Supply Officer Rodriguez. "I won't sugarcoat this," Vega began. "The diplomatic situation has deteriorated. The Xylarians have withdrawn from the Accords." A heavy silence fell over the room, broken by Security Chief Williams. "Captain, with our current armaments, we couldn't withstand even a small Xylarian assault force." "I'm aware, Chief. That's why we're implementing Contingency Protocol Epsilon, effective immediately." Rodriguez leaned forward. "Evacuation prep?" "Precisely. I want essential research data backed up and prepped for transfer. Non-essential personnel should be ready to board shuttles on short notice." Vega turned to Engineer Takeda. "How are our shield generators?" The engineer's expression was grim. "Operating at 86%, Captain. The recent solar flare damaged some of the auxiliary systems. We're working on repairs, but it'll take at least 48 hours to restore full capacity." "You have 24, Vega replied firmly. "Prioritize the shield grid over everything except life support." Dr. Corsack spoke up, her normally calm voice edged with concern. "Captain, I should note that we have 3 crew members in the middle of treatments that can't be easily transported. Moving them prematurely could be dangerous." "Understood, Doctor. Make whatever preparations you can, but know that we may have no choice." As the meeting continued, Lieutenant Patel's comm unit chimed. He glanced down, then looked up with alarm. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up multiple warp signatures approaching from the direction of Xylarian space." Vega's blood ran cold. "How many?" Patel's fingers flew across his tablet. "Initial count is 47 distinct signatures. Captain, this is consistent with a battle fleet." The room fell silent. "Time to intercept?" Vega asked quietly. "At their current velocity, less than 3 hours." Vega stood, her decision made. "This is not a drill, people. Implement Epsilon immediately. Lieutenant Patel, send an emergency transmission to Earth Central. Chief Williams, deploy all defensive systems and arm the security team. Dr. Corsack, begin prepping patients for possible emergency transport." She looked around the table. "Let's move." As her staff hurried to their stations, Vega returned to the command center. The main view screen displayed the approaching Xylarian signatures. Far too many for coincidence or peaceful intent. "Broadcast on all frequencies," she ordered. "Channel open, Captain," Patel confirmed. "This is Captain Elena Vega of Earth's Phobos Research Station. Xylarian vessels. You are approaching a peaceful scientific outpost. State your intentions." Silence stretched for several seconds before a response came. "Human station," a gravelly voice replied. The universal translator, struggling with the Xylarian dialect. "This is Admiral Thrax of the Imperial Xylarian Armada. Your presence violates our sovereign territorial claims. You will surrender your facility or face immediate destruction." Vega exchanged glances with Patel. "Admiral Thrax, Phobos Station is well within the boundaries established by the Centauri Accords. We are a scientific outpost, not a military installation." "The Accords are void," came the cold reply. "You have 2 Earth hours to evacuate all personnel. Any human remaining after that time will be considered an enemy combatant. The station will be destroyed regardless. Thrax out." As the communication ended, the command center erupted into controlled chaos. Vega issued rapid-fire orders, organizing evacuation priorities and defense preparations. Their automated defense turrets were brought online. Shield generators pushed to maximum output despite the damaged systems. "Captain," Engineer Takeda called from across the command center. "There's someone requesting emergency docking at Airlock 7. It's a civilian transport."
"A civilian out here?" Vega frowned. "Identity?"
Transponder identifies it as the Lucky Break, registered to a Marcus Ridley, independent contractor. He's claiming to have urgent technical cargo for the station. "Deny the request," Security Chief Williams interjected. "It could be a Xylarian trick." Vega hesitated. "Scan the vessel." "One human life sign," Takeda confirmed after a moment. "Small vessel, minimal armaments consistent with a civilian transport. The cargo hold contains some kind of specialized equipment, but it's shielded against detailed scans." "He's hailing us directly," Patel added. "Put him through." The view screen flickered to show a man in his mid-30s, with untidy dark hair and a 3-day stubble. He wore what appeared to be a retrofitted flight suit, with numerous unofficial patches and modifications. "Phobos Station, finally got through. Look, I know this is a bad time with that Xylarian fleet breathing down your necks, but you really want to let me dock. Trust me on this one. This is Captain Vega. Identify yourself and your business." The man gave a quick, irreverent salute. "Marcus Ridley. Though most people call me Mitch. I'm carrying prototype tech that might just save your skins. Earth Defense R&D contracted me to deliver it 3 days ago, but I got held up by a plasma storm near Europa."
"We've received no notification about any technology delivery,"
Vega replied skeptically. "Yeah. Well, bureaucracy moves slower than my ship. Look, Captain, in about..." He checked something off screen. 2 hours and change. You're going to have a serious Xylarian problem. What I'm carrying might help with that. Your call." Vega muted the transmission and turned to her officers. Opinions? It's too convenient, Williams argued. He shows up just as we're about to be attacked? But if Earth Defense did send him, Engineer Takeda countered. Vega unmuted the channel. Mr. Ridley, we're in the middle of evacuation procedures. Whatever you're carrying, it's too late. Ridley leaned closer to the camera. Captain, what I've got is a prototype graviton disruptor pistol. First of its kind. It can neutralize Xylarian shield technology. I was supposed to deliver it for your testing program, but now it looks like you'll be field testing it instead. Vega's eyes narrowed. How do you know it would affect Xylarian shields specifically? Because, Ridley replied with a crooked smile. It was reverse-engineered from their own tech. A little souvenir from their last diplomatic visit to Luna Base. Vega made her decision. Airlock 7, you have clearance to dock. Security will meet you. 20 minutes later, Marcus Mitch Ridley stood in Phobos Station's command center, a sleek, unusually designed weapon holstered at his hip. Security Chief Williams and 2 officers stood nearby, weapons at the ready. So let me get this straight, Vega said, eyeing the civilian with a mixture of skepticism and desperate hope. You're claiming that single pistol can disable Xylarian shield systems? Not just shields, Ridley replied, unperturbed by the surrounding tension. It disrupts any technology based on graviton manipulation. Engines, weapons, communications, basically everything the Xylarians consider important. He glanced around at the busy command center. Though I'll admit I expected to be demonstrating it under slightly less apocalyptic conditions. And Earth Defense sent just one? Williams asked incredulously. It's a prototype, Ridley shrugged. Cost more to develop than this entire station. They're not exactly mass-producing them yet. Before Vega could respond, Lieutenant Patel interrupted. Captain, the Xylarian fleet has accelerated. New estimated arrival. 45 minutes. So much for our 2-hour ultimatum, Vega muttered. Status of evacuation? First shuttle departed with 16 non-essential personnel, Rodriguez reported. Second is loading now. But Captain, we won't be able to evacuate everyone before they arrive. Vega turned back to Ridley. If what you're saying is true, can that weapon make a difference against 50 warships? Ridley's cocky demeanor faltered slightly. Honestly, not on its own, but it might buy you time. Show me, Vega decided. In the station's small weapons testing range, Ridley demonstrated the pistol against a force field, similar to Xylarian technology. The weapon emitted a pulsing blue-white beam that caused the force field to warp, distort, and finally collapse entirely. The effect is temporary, Ridley explained. About 30 seconds on small systems, less on larger ones. But it completely disrupts the graviton field, causing a cascading failure. Engineer Takeda was examining the weapon's specifications with growing excitement. This could work against their drone fighters. If we could take those out, our defense turrets might stand a chance against their larger ships. We still have an evacuation to complete, Vega reminded them. This doesn't change that. Captain, Ridley said, suddenly serious. Let me help. I've spent the last 6 months studying this tech. I know its capabilities and limitations better than anyone. Vega studied him carefully. Why would you volunteer to stay on a station about to be attacked by an alien armada? Would you believe professional curiosity? When Vega's expression didn't change, Ridley sighed. Look, I've spent my career shipping other people's inventions to other people's battles. Just once. I'd like to see if what I'm delivering actually makes a difference. Before Vega could respond, the station alarm blared. Captain to command center, Patel's voice came over the intercom. When they arrived, the view screen showed the first wave of Xylarian vessels dropping out of warp space. Still distant, but closing fast. They've launched fighters, Williams reported grimly. At least 30 small craft, likely drones. Our turrets can handle drones, Vega said. Activate all defensive systems. Status of the second evacuation shuttle? Launching now, Rodriguez confirmed. 24 personnel safely away. That leaves 12 of us, including the 3 patients in medical. Vega nodded. Prepare the final shuttle. Dr. Corsack, are your patients stable enough to move? We've stabilized 2 for transport, the doctor replied. The third, it's risky, Captain. Do what you can. We launch in 20 minutes. Ready or not? Vega turned to the rest of her crew. I want all essential research data transferred to secure storage. Rig the primary research labs for emergency purge. As the crew rushed to complete their tasks, the first wave of Xylarian drone fighters came into visual range. Sleek, purple-black craft with distinctive wing configurations. They moved with unnerving precision. Defense turrets engaging, Williams announced as the station's automatic weapons began firing. The first few drones exploded in bright flashes, but the rest adjusted their approach, adopting evasive patterns that made them harder to target. They're learning, Takeda observed worriedly. They always do, Ridley commented, watching the tactical display. Xylarian drone AI adapts quickly. Suddenly, 3 drones broke formation, accelerating toward the station's shield generators. They're targeting our shields, Williams shouted. Redirecting turrets! 2 of the drones were destroyed, but the third slipped through, launching a concentrated energy pulse at one of the external shield emitters. The station shuddered as the emitter exploded. Shield capacity down to 62%, Takeda reported. Vega turned to Ridley. Think your toy might work on those drones? Only one way to find out, he replied. I'll need to get to an exterior access point with line of sight. Observation Deck 3 has the best firing angle, Williams suggested reluctantly. Take him there, Vega ordered one of the security officers. And make it quick. As Ridley and the officer hurried away, Vega returned her attention to the battle. More drones were approaching, and behind them, the main Xylarian fleet was moving into position. The station's turrets were scoring hits, but not quickly enough. Captain, Patel called out. Admiral Thrax is hailing us again. On screen, the Xylarian admiral's face appeared, craggy, gray-skinned, with distinctive ridge patterns that denoted high military rank. His vertical pupils narrowed as he regarded Vega. Your defenses are futile, Captain. Your evacuation efforts have been noted. You have 10 minutes to complete your withdrawal before we commence full bombardment. We are a scientific outpost, Admiral, Vega replied firmly. This attack violates all established conventions of interstellar law. Your species' concepts of law are irrelevant. This region now falls under Xylarian dominion. His mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Consider yourself fortunate that we allow you to flee with your lives. The transmission cut abruptly as another drone struck the station, causing the lights to flicker. Status of final evacuation shuttle? Vega demanded. Almost ready, Rodriguez reported. Dr. Corsack is loading the last patient now. Captain! Williams called out suddenly. Check the tactical display. Vega looked up to see something unexpected. Several of the approaching drones were veering off course, their flight paths becoming erratic before they spun out of control. 2 collided with each other in a bright explosion. What's happening? She asked. A new voice came over the comm system. Captain, this is Ridley. The disruptor works against the drones. Their navigation systems use graviton technology for precision maneuvering. One hit, and they go haywire. On the tactical display, more drones were falling to the mysterious weapon. Ridley was systematically targeting them from his position on the observation deck, creating a growing debris field that the remaining drones had to navigate. He's buying us time, Vega realized. Rodriguez, status of that shuttle. Ready for boarding, Captain. Everyone's accounted for except you, Ridley, and the security officer with him. Vega made a quick decision. Get everyone on board. Stand by for my order to launch. Captain, Williams protested,
Protocol dictates.
I'm aware of protocol, Chief. Vega cut him off. But I need to ensure Ridley gets that weapon off the station. It's too valuable to lose. Williams hesitated, then nodded. Understood, but don't cut it too close. As the command center emptied, Vega contacted Ridley. Ridley, fall back to evacuation point Delta. The shuttle is waiting. Bit busy at the moment, Captain, came the strained reply. These drones really don't like what I'm doing to their friends. That's an order, Ridley. Whatever you've accomplished, it's time to go. You might want to hold that thought, Ridley responded. The main fleet is moving into firing position. And, oh, that's not good.
Report,
Vega demanded. One of the larger ships is deploying something. Some kind of massive cannon. I've seen weapons testing footage of similar Xylarian tech. His voice grew deadly serious. Captain, I think that's a planet killer. Vega felt her blood run cold.
A what?
Graviton collapse cannon. Designed to destabilize planetary crusts. On something Phobos's size, it would shatter the entire moon.
Can your weapon affect something that large?
Not directly, no. There was a pause. But I might have an idea. How good is your station's targeting computer? Military grade, Vega replied.
What are you thinking?
If I can get to the main sensor array, I might be able to calculate the precise frequency of their cannon's graviton field. With the right targeting solution, even this small disruptor could trigger a feedback loop in their firing mechanism.
You're talking about hacking an alien superweapon with a prototype pistol?
When you put it that way, it sounds insane, Ridley admitted. But the principle is sound. The bigger their power source, the more catastrophic the disruption. Vega checked the tactical display. The Xylarian cannon was indeed deploying, its massive barrel extending from one of the largest warships. According to their sensors, it was powering up. How long would you need? To get to the array and calibrate the disruptor? Maybe 5 minutes. You have 3, Vega decided. Lieutenant Kwan, escort Ridley to Sensor Array Alpha. I'll coordinate from here. As Ridley raced through the station corridors, Vega opened a channel to the evacuation shuttle. Change of plans. Launch immediately. Get clear of Phobos. Captain, Dr. Corsak's voice came through. What about you? That's an order. Doctor, Ridley and I are implementing a contingency measure. We'll use the emergency pod once it's done. After a moment of silence, Rodriguez responded, Understood, Captain. Shuttle launching now. Good luck. Vega watched on the display as the last evacuation shuttle detached from the station and accelerated away from Phobos, hopefully beneath the Xylarian's notice. Captain, Ridley's voice came through, breathless from running. We're at the array. Beginning calibration now. Make it fast. Their weapon is nearly charged. On the main screen, Vega could see the enormous cannon glowing with ominous energy, aimed directly at Phobos. Around it, the Xylarian fleet had formed a precise attack formation. Incoming transmission from the Xylarian flagship, the computer announced. Admiral Thrax appeared on screen. His alien features set in what might have been satisfaction. Your time has expired, Captain Vega. We detect one shuttle has escaped. For allowing your scientists to evacuate, we will make your destruction quick.
Admiral, this is still a civilian research station, Vega argued, playing for time. Your actions constitute a war crime under the Galactic Conventions.
There will be no witnesses to these events, Thrax replied coldly. Phobos will be destroyed, and history will record only that humans abandoned an unstable moon before its natural collapse. In the background, Vega could hear Xylarian officers reporting firing sequences. The massive cannon was reaching full power.
Ridley,
she whispered into her separate comm channel.
Tell me you've got something.
Almost there, he muttered. Their security protocols are complex, but the graviton frequency is becoming clear. Just need 30 more seconds.
We don't have 30 seconds,
Vega hissed, watching as the cannon's glow intensified. On the main screen, Thrax gave the order. Fire the graviton collapse cannon. Reduce Phobos to dust. Now or never, Ridley! Vega shouted. Got it. Ridley's triumphant voice came through. Firing solution locked. Disruptor at maximum output. Fire in the hole. Through the command center's viewport, Vega saw a brilliant, blue-white beam shoot from the sensor array toward the Xylarian flagship. It seemed impossibly thin and weak against the massive alien vessel. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then, just as the planet-killer cannon discharged, the blue beam connected with its barrel. The cannon's energy pulse distorted, warping in space. Instead of striking Phobos, it curved back toward the Xylarian fleet in a devastating arc of energy. The flagship's shields failed instantly as the redirected pulse tore through them. Secondary explosions cascaded along its hull as system after system catastrophically failed. 2 nearby warships, caught in the energy backwash, suffered similar fates. Direct hit! Ridley whooped over the comm. The disruptor created a perfect feedback loop. Their own weapon did the rest. The command center rocked as debris from the destroyed Xylarian ships struck the station. Warning alarms blared as systems began to fail. Get back to the command center now, Vega ordered. We need to reach the emergency escape pod before this place falls apart. The remaining Xylarian ships were in disarray, some retreating, others moving to assist their stricken flagship. For the moment, Phobos Station was no longer their primary target. Ridley burst into the command center minutes later, his face streaked with sweat and grime, the graviton disruptor still clutched in his hand. Never a dull moment on Phobos, huh? Save the quips for when we're safely away, Vega replied, though a small smile tugged at her lips. The emergency pod is 2 levels down. This way. As they hurried through the increasingly unstable station, they passed through the main research lab. Ridley paused, looking at a particular data terminal. Wait, he said suddenly. There's something important here. We don't have time for sightseeing, Vega snapped. Trust me, Captain. This is relevant. Ridley quickly accessed the terminal, downloading files onto a portable drive. The graviton disruptor wasn't the only prototype I was delivering. There's research data here that complements it. The theoretical framework for a defensive shield based on the same principles. Another explosion rocked the station. Whatever it is, grab it and move, Vega ordered. They reached the emergency escape pod, just as the station's structural integrity alarms reached critical levels. The 2-person craft was small, but sturdy, designed for short-range evacuation to Mars or a rescue vessel. As they strapped in, Vega initiated the launch sequence. Let's hope the Xylarians are too busy to notice one small pod. The pod ejected from the disintegrating station, its thrusters pushing it away from Phobos and into the relative safety of Mars's shadow. Behind them, explosions continued to bloom across parts of the station as critical systems failed. Think they'll come after us? Ridley asked, checking the pod's minimal sensors. Doubtful, Vega replied, watching the tactical display. They've lost their flagship and at least 3 other vessels. The rest appear to be withdrawing to regroup. So we won then? Ridley sounded surprised at his own question. Vega glanced at him. We survived, and we saved most of my crew, and some invaluable research. I'd call that a qualified victory. As the pod established a stable trajectory toward Mars, Vega sent an encrypted transmission to Earth Central, reporting on the Xylarian attack and their narrow escape. The response was immediate. A rescue vessel was already en route to collect the evacuation shuttles and would rendezvous with their pod within 6 hours. So, Ridley said after a while, breaking the contemplative silence. Not exactly the simple delivery job I signed up for. Is that what you are? A delivery man? Vega asked skeptically. Ridley shrugged. Independent contractor. I specialize in high-risk, high-security transport. Earth Defense is one of my regular clients. And you just happen to know exactly how to use an experimental weapon against a Xylarian fleet? Part of the job,
I don't transport anything without knowing what it does and how it works. He gave her a sidelong glance. Keeps me alive longer. Vega nodded toward the data drive he'd recovered. And that research? What's so important about it? Ridley's expression turned serious. That's the interesting part. It's a collaborative project. The theoretical framework was developed jointly by human and Xylarian scientists. What? Vega's surprise was evident. The Xylarians were working with us on weapons technology? Not weapons, Ridley corrected. Defensive systems. There's a faction within Xylarian society that favors peaceful cooperation with humans. They've been secretly sharing technology with Earth scientists. And Admiral Thrax represents the militaristic faction that wants to establish Xylarian dominance before humans become too advanced. Ridley held up the data drive. This research represents a different path, one where our species help each other advance instead of fighting over territory. Vega considered this information. So, when Earth broadcasts what happened at Phobos, they'll be broadcasting proof that cooperation is possible, Ridley finished. The graviton disruptor I brought was built using shared Xylarian knowledge. Its existence proves that peaceful exchange benefits both species. 6 hours later, as the rescue vessel took their pod aboard, Vega and Ridley were greeted by a team of Earth defense officials eager to debrief them. The graviton disruptor and the research data were immediately secured for transport back to Earth. Admiral Lawson himself spoke with Vega via secure channel, his normally stoic expression showing rare emotion. Captain, your actions at Phobos have changed the game. The Xylarian collective is in political turmoil. The military faction has been discredited, and the moderate factions are calling for renewed diplomatic talks. Sir, much of the credit belongs to Mr. Ridley, Vega responded, glancing at the civilian who stood nearby. So, I understand, Lawson nodded. His unconventional approach proved effective. Earth Defense will be taking his recommendations under advisement as we prepare for negotiations. Negotiations, sir? Yes, Captain. Your stand at Phobos has been broadcast throughout known space. The sight of a lone outpost successfully defending against an armada has captured the public imagination, both human and alien. The Centauri Council has called for immediate peace talks. After the transmission ended, Vega found Ridley in the ship's observation lounge, staring out at the stars. Looks like you're going to be famous, she remarked, joining him at the viewport. Not my style, he replied with a slight grimace. I prefer to stay under the radar. Too late for that. Earth Defense is already calling you the hero of Phobos. Ridley winced. Please tell me you're joking. Afraid not. The footage from our defense systems has gone viral across the Earth networks. Vega studied him curiously. For someone who just helped prevent an interstellar war, you don't seem very pleased. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad we stopped the Xylarians. But fame complicates things in my line of work. You might need to find a new line of work, Vega suggested. Admiral Lawson mentioned they want you involved in the peace negotiations. Me? A diplomat? Ridley laughed. Now I know you're joking. Not a diplomat. A technical advisor. Someone who understands both the weapons and defense systems being discussed. Vega's expression turned serious. Someone who believes in cooperation over conflict. Ridley was quiet for a moment. Is that what you believe, Captain? After they tried to destroy your station? I believe in protecting my people, Vega replied. But I also believe that endless escalation leads nowhere good. If there's a chance for genuine peace, we should take it. Even if it means working with the same species that tried to kill you? Especially then. Vega turned to face the stars again. That's how peace happens. Not between friends, but between former enemies. 2 weeks later, Captain Elena Vega and Marcus Mitch Ridley stood in the Grand Chamber of the Centauri Council. Earth's diplomatic team on one side, the Xylarian delegation on the other. Among the Xylarians were
several scientists, whose work had contributed to the graviton research that had saved Phobos Station. As the formal proceedings began, Vega leaned slightly toward Ridley. "Ready for this?" "Not remotely," he muttered back. "But I guess saving a planet gives you certain obligations." "It was a moon, not a planet," Vega corrected with a small smile. "Details," Ridley shrugged, but he was smiling too. Together, they stepped forward as the human-Xylarian peace talks began. A captain who had defended her outpost against impossible odds, and a civilian whose courage and ingenuity had turned the tide of battle. Behind them, displayed on the Council's main screen, was the image that had captured the imagination of two species. A single, blue-white beam from Phobos Station, redirecting a planet-killer weapon back against its creators. Not a symbol of human triumph over Xylarians, but a demonstration of what could be accomplished when the knowledge of both species was combined. A new beginning, forged in the crucible of conflict, but pointing toward a future of cooperation. As Vega prepared to address the Council, she caught Ridley's eye and saw in his expression the same hope that she felt. That what had started as an alien armada attacking Earth's outpost, turned by a single human's courage, might end as something far more significant. The true beginning of peaceful coexistence between humans and their galactic neighbors. The Phobos incident wouldn't be remembered as a battle won, but as the moment when humanity proved it could stand its ground and still extend a hand in peace. A turning point that would shape interstellar relations for generations to come.